You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspective. So let me go ahead and just address the obvious. If you notice, it is I, Eric Butler, the intellect, aka the Atlantic, because I'm cold, deep, and choppy, aka the coloring, because I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land. Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. But if you can tell that my co-host, Latoya, aka Doc, is not with us today, and that's because they had an event. But we had also discussed, and we thought that we agreed and thought it was very important that we were going to take this opportunity the last Thursday of June to address something that we both thought was very important. So yes, we're having a men's meeting, and the men are taking over. And so, with that being said, I have some very individuals that I'm thankful that they were willing to take the time out of their lives to join us. So we're going to kind of have a men's meeting is basically what we're going to do. We'll probably have some questions posed. We'll respond to those. But what we're going to talk about is something that's very important. And we're going to be talking about June, which is Men's Mental Health Month. And yeah, to this, many people say, I didn't know June was Men's Mental Health Month. And that's the problem. So we're here to kind of change that around. So we have some gentlemen, and this is the thing I want to say beforehand. These are, we always want to be around like-minded individuals. But the key element about the gentlemen that I have assembled here, I wouldn't necessarily say they have like minds, but they definitely have like spirits. These are individuals that I respect, and that's a very high calling. And so as we always talk about here on Perspective, the premise of this platform is right there in the name. This is about perspectives, different points of views, different opinions, different lived experiences. And so this group of men, we all have those different backgrounds. We come from different places. We've had different experiences. So it's going to be a really good time of just having discussions around men's mental health, but anything else and anywhere else that it's taken. So one by one, I'm going to bring them in. The first individual that I'm going to introduce is Mr. Carlos Moore. And welcome to Perspective, Carlos.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. And so me and Carlos know each other, but we don't. And I'll just keep it 100 and funky like that. But I can tell you this, like Carlos, and most importantly, I respect Carlos. And so, Carlos, I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Carlos Moore. I'm a prior military Army vet. Work at the post office, substitute teach, work at the daycare at Crunch Fitness. Just a regular laid back guy. I kind of stay to myself. I don't go out, don't do clubs. I'm very into being a good dad. I think
yes, he definitely is.
That's probably the best thing that I'm good at on this earth is being a good dad. I lack at a lot of other things, but when it comes to that, I know I'm excellent at it.
But absolutely, if you didn't say it, I was gonna say it for you, man.
Appreciate
I was gonna say it for you. And it doesn't seem like, but Carlos has a certain wit and intellect. He's a very funny gentleman. And like I said, somebody I respect, and that's one aspect of it, or why I do. So I'm going to bring in our next guest, Mr. Cusp, Mr. Dante Malone Cusp, and he is and I'll let you read it at the bottom of the screen. Mr. Cusp, how you doing?
Hey, all is well. How's it going? Glad to be
all
here.
Right.
Just want to say my name is Dante Malone. People call me Cusp. That originated from just me understanding balance, rather yin yang, male, female, et cetera, et cetera. Also the owner of Introspective Soul Inc. Not only just a husband, I'm also a father. I'm also a son. I am a brother. And I go by many titles. I consider myself a bit of a chameleon. I can fit and communicate in any field, but I'm also a lone wolf. I don't get out much and do the regular people things. I find alignment with self and try to find ways to build with others. But in essence, I'm here to speak in relation to mental health and also provide my insight and feedback from a metaphysical and also a spirit level of understanding. But appreciate being here.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. All right. And Dante is being very humble. He is also a divinely gifted artist. I'm just, I don't have any other way but to be very direct. I've seen him doodle masterpieces. I'm talking about a pen and paper. And I was like, what in the whole entire hell is going on right now? I mean, it was phenomenal. But anyway, so definitely get at Introspective Soul Inc. Go check out some of the things he has. Bother him about his pieces. One of my prized possessions is a homewarming gift. It is a painting. Don't nobody else in the world have it but me. He's the one who painted it. So thank you for being here, brother. My next guest, this is my. I'm gonna bring him on in. He is probably he was my real true first advisor, I would say. The one thing I always think of when I think of Mr. Harold Rayfield is he is not a yes man. We've had some conversations where I really thought he was gonna like see it from my perspective, and it was no pun intended. And he was like, "No, man, that's your damn fault. Why would anybody A, B, C, X, Y, Z?" But anyway, I want to introduce you to our next guest, Mr. Harold Rayfield.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I really definitely a blessing, and I really appreciate our value. I'm Harold Rayfield. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm a therapist. I'm licensed in the state of Oklahoma, Texas. I also do life coaching. I'm also the clinical director here at Spring Eternal Behavioral Health, which is a Black-owned in Oklahoma City. We also own and operate Life Solutions Therapy and are very much so rooted in the idea of family and encourage Black love and be parents and just being good people in general. So I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to see where the conversation goes. So you boy in last, so you know what I'm saying? About that, bring them out. Let's see what we got to talk about, man. You know what I'm saying?
Not last. We got one more individual we're going to bring in. But here's the thing. And Harold is, in all of these gentlemen, they're being very, very, because there are professionals as well. But Harold is probably one of the best dancers I've ever been around, too. Man, I mean, for real. That's a smooth cat, y'all. Y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. Don't get it twisted.
I think I'm the only extrovert on here. On here.
Yeah, see, he knows. He knows well.
So
all right. So last but not least, I'm bringing in a Mr. And he's not new to perspective. He's been on here before. So I thought it would just be excellent to have him on here. And as I said before, these are all individuals that I respect. And we don't have necessarily like minds, but we definitely share the like spirit. So I know that's going to keep things in the right space, but definitely give a wide variety of outlook. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Scotty Knox, aka Knox City. That's what I like to call it.
What's going on, everybody? I'm adding on to the panel of professionals here. I'm sure we all got, the other sides of life we indulge in, but I don't dance, can't do that. Let's see. Let me see what's different from me. I guess I gotta not be humble. Let me brag a little bit.
There you go.
No, I'm just playing, man. Just happy to be here, man. you know, I can tell with everybody who's here and, you know, what's going on. You know, this is a very awesome panel. I'm proud to be a part of. A lot of ownership, a lot of, seems like strong minds in the building. So, with me, myself, man, I'm in education. I teach, coach. I'm an author. I'm an artist. I'm a father. Just got back from Gulf Shores. Me and my daughter been at the beach all day. I'm sure I'm sunburned. So you know, I'm just enjoying vacation, man. That's it. I get like two months to just kick it, and I'm kicking it.
All right, that's outstanding, outstanding. Thank you for being here, Knox, man. Thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to go into comments, and then we're going to kind of get into the conversation and the discussion. So right now, hey, now if you don't know, Perspective sits on the BS3 network. That is what helps. That's what provides this this platform. And so if you don't see that Ben Sutter III, he puts the BS3 into the BS3 network. And so by sending stars, it helps us earn money to continue building a network. So I definitely, you know, I'm just like everybody else. Like, you know, money is hard to come by, and we don't want to send and share that anywhere. But I'm telling you, it'll be going into a very a righteous space. Just like I talked about the spirit of the men that are selected to be on in this on this panel. The spirit of this network is definitely a pure one. So if you have the opportunity, definitely help us out and support us in that way.
Bless you.
Then also, yeah, let's get it. This gonna be fun. Sha Camille, hey, she says, right. I was like, and say you're a great dad. So I know she's referring to Carlos right there. Absolutely, absolutely. And I just say Steph because I don't want to mess up the first name. Hello, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And I do want to say to the viewers, don't be shy to put questions in. And let me go ahead and make the statement. When we talk about perspectives, this is a safe place. This is a safe tree. And one thing you always got to keep in mind is that whenever you have your own perspective, your own opinion, your own point of view, or even your lived experience, and it may counter to someone else's, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're right and you're wrong, or they're wrong and you're right. It simply means that it's just different. And when we take the time, listen to hear and understand, that understanding brings us closer together. And we'll find that we have more commonality than we do differences. And that is something that we strive to achieve here on Perspective. So take those things, let's stay respectful, and let's listen to understand and put yourself in someone else's shoes as we get into it. So with that being said, I want to play one little clip that'll kind of give you an understanding of what this conversation is going to be about. So we'll be right back here in just a moment.
June is a men's mental health month, but I'm guessing nobody's really going to talk about it. So from one brother to another, I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing okay.
All right, just want to say, so this is what it's about. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and I wanted that clip because I could definitely understand the sentiments of that. Like nobody's going to talk about it. Now, if anybody's heard a lot of talk about it, seen it on any national television shows, talk shows, anything like that, great. But it hadn't reached my eye or my ear. And so Perspective is taking the moment to bring some men together. We can have a conversation about it, and let's get into it. So when we talk about it, I'm just going to pose some questions. Gentlemen, you jump in, share your perspective or your thoughts on it. So the opening question I have is, so how would you define mental health and its importance for Black men in today's society? Okay, Harold, you don't have to stay quiet. You know you're the licensed therapist, so we're going to lead with you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as the mental health is concerned, I mean, it's all encompassing. So it just talks about the mental side of things, the thought processes that go along, the emotional wellness. I like the word wellness, right? Because it's kind of just overarching. And so mental health is extremely important because it's not talked about enough, especially in the African American community, the brown and Black communities. how valuable it is, because it's the foundation of life, right? And so I think why it's important for Black men to talk about, because most of us didn't grow up talking about it, right? Uh, we most of us just grew up where we even the conversations with dad or uncle or grandpa were pretty short, pretty brief, and it was more about what you got to do, what you got to endure, what you got to persevere through, as compared to the process get into the end. And so I think it's really valuable for us to be having conversations like this, just to let other men know it's okay and that it's positive, good, right? To be able to talk about the things that we go through, and because we all have a lot of things. So I think that's a good way to kind
All right. Anybody else have any feedback? And the question again is, how would you define mental health and its importance for Black men in today's society?
Mental health is awareness. That's how I would think about it. One of the things that I take into account is there's a lot of where there's not people talking about it, or how are you fighting your mental health, but where's the solution? And that's the thing that has to be taught. When I get in exchange with any Black American, I am in the impression of exchanging energy. What can I leave where I know he can build on? You see what I mean? And so that's always my purpose, and it's instilled in me. So that's what I use as a grounding measure in understanding that we're dealing with mental health. And I use dealing loosely because that means you have awareness and control of it. But we are actually experiencing it in a way to where it can be a takeaway if we're not aware of our surroundings, how we breathing, how we looking at different things, what are emotions behind it, and all of that. And so it's about really being aware of how you experience in this life.
Next, anybody? They just jump on in now.
You pretty much summed it up. I mean, it's I didn't grow up hearing the term, I didn't grow up discussing it, or I mean, I think I pretty much got into this subject maybe just a few years ago. So it's pretty much a risque subject, I guess, in the Black community. It's kind of like we just don't talk about it, and it's important, but it's just one of those things where we don't have these sit downs and we don't have these discussions about it because, like I said, me personally, I didn't grow up, like I said, hearing about this or discussing it in school. Didn't talk about it in school. When I joined the military, didn't talk about it in the military, and you live with it every day. You live with it every day, but it was just never a discussion. And like I said, now with the last couple of years, it's a common subject now.
Which is a good thing. Knox City, you got something?
Man, I'm the bad guy, so I gotta go in a completely different direction, right? So this is what I thought as soon as you said it, right? I'm like, okay. To me, it's like it's the equivalent of Black History Month, right? And this is what I mean by that. When we came up, I don't know if y'all felt this way, but it was always kind of taboo, right? Black History Month is February because it's 28 days, right? So it's like, is June Mental Health Month because it's Pride Month and we ain't never gonna outshine Pride Month, right? Like we're never gonna be more important than Pride Month. So is that why June is Mental Health Month? Right? Like, does that show the importance of?
Yeah, I knew you would cover. I knew you would cover something.
I'm the bad guy, man. But that's where my mind went. My mind went to like, why June? Right? I've heard it's Pride Month 37 times. I've seen rainbow everything. Right? So it's like one of those things where I feel like, what are we supposed to celebrate for Mental Health Month? What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to take like an extra 10 minutes and not do nothing once a week or something? Like, what is the mental health routine we supposed to, and it's also Juneteenth. Like, how's it going to be Juneteenth and mental health all in it? It's too much, man. We got to get a new month.
It's too much.
It's too much going on.
I got you. No, you make a good point, but I'll tell you what it does. And from my perspective, I get it because it's holidays. What do you do? Even Black History Month, because you got the monikers that say, every month is Black History Month because man, we making history every day, right? History was made by Black people every day, and so to answer the question first is for myself, say how would I define mental health? I'd be like, the thing that comes to mind, mental health is if you're not at your if you don't feel that you can be your full self. I think everybody experiences stresses, but stresses past your capacity. If it stops you from being functional, um, or at your best level of functioning, um, to me that is a mark or a hit on your mental health, and that could stop you from smiling. That could shut you down from talking. That'll shut you down from aspiring to do things that you wanted to do. And the importance of it for Black men in today's society is the importance of it is to because I now I may sound utopic in this, but I look at Black men. I've been around Black men. I know great Black men, and I think the greatest things that are going to be achieved, that have been achieved, they come from Black men. And so the better off we are with having a stable mental status, then the greater the results are going to be. And but that's another conversation about what I think the response.
Let me give you a because you just mentioned a point. You said
Yeah, go ahead.
the greater is that your mental capacity is, the greater you would achieve. So I'm gonna challenge your mind. Explain to me areas where during the time we faced most adversity in the past, we were more seen in areas to where it influenced. And what I mean by that is our creativity, music, style, everything. And it's like you got to understand the level of soul. And that's why we use the term soul during that time, because it's resonant. We could talk about mental health all day because we're trying to fit into society's way of living and doing. That's what's throwing us off. But when we're able to capture soul, it's like listening to Carlos when he said, man, I'm driven by just being the best dad I can be. That's soul level. It vibrates from him. That's why it's not only just confirmed from his voice, other people are complimenting it. And even what everybody else is doing. And so we got to capture that awareness. And that's what I always try to pull out of each brother that I communicate with, even those that communicate with me. Because like you, intellect, you tell me all the time, Dante, there's so much more you can push out there. You just ain't doing it. What's wrong with you? But it's just a matter of where's my level of balance? And that balance comes from, am I doing this on a soul level, or is this just tangible? Is this just some shit I'm doing to just to make it in a society or world that, I got to position myself to be of power, of that authority, of that greatness. Like position ourselves. Like I don't see society as what limits me. You just do it. And if you do it well, shit. Like that's what makes us so great, and what other perceive us as being arrogant, because we know we can do it no matter what adversity we face. It's just a matter of just doing it. And there's not one point of us not succeeding. We just become compartmentalized in relation to how others view us. And if that is the entertainment, guess what? We just got to talk a little louder, because we behind the scenes. We all behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to dissect that, because what I'm hearing is that, the stress is coming from trying to conform, trying to fit into blocks that we don't really belong into.
Yeah, Black men don't.
Like,
We don't
get right. I definitely.
That's a natural. Okay. That's a natural. That's just how we are built. And if you think about genetics and the flow of energy from our history, we have always been ones to build on survival alone. Mm-hmm. We have the instincts of survival. The reason why relationships are not working the way it should is because we forgot about interdependence. We become too independent of each other.
Well, you know what? Here's what's funny with that. And I feel like I could go in like 3 different directions, because you said some really, really like some things that hit light bulbs, right? But here's what I think. I think mental health is a trickle down effect. And what I mean by that is I think I think white women were like, "Hey, we need mental health." And then everybody else jumped in on it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody else could get away with it. White men can't get away with mental health like that. Black men can't get away with mental health like that. Right? But if your average white woman goes, "Hey, we need mental health," then it matters. Right? So, like, and the reason why I say that is because if you think, when did we start talking about mental health? We weren't the first to do it, right? It's a trickle down effect. I feel like it's one of those things where I think as black men and maybe as black people, we aren't allowed excuses. We everybody who came before us had less, right? So we aren't privy to excuses. So because of that fact, I don't know if technically mental health is for us, right? It's not really because at the end of the at the end of, and this is what I mean by that. And I'm not saying like we don't need it, right? I think that, and where I kind of pulled this from is when he said soul, right? It made me think, and the first thing I thought of was soul food, right? And I say soul food, and I took it differently. I always thought soul food was soul food because they didn't leave us shit else to cook with. Like you got to put your soul into it to make it a dish. You feel what I'm saying? That's where I think, in my mind, soul food comes from. Like, this is food from the soul. I am eating. And another thing you said about being built on survival, I think that the majority of the black community is built on survival. Most of us don't come from love, right? We come from, "Daddy, do you love me? Do the lights work? Did you eat?" Right? Like that is how our parents or some of our parents parented. That's how they loved on one another. So I don't feel like I feel like survival is a natural trait with us. That's where we start. That's why black people don't ask questions when they see people running. They run because we automatically jumped up and we go off survival.
Yeah.
Right? We gonna do what we got to do to survive first.
Yeah.
Then we gonna ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, where most of our counterparts, they gonna ask questions. Well, why do I got to? Why are they running? Okay, you stay here and find out.
No, I've often said that I mean, we take what we get and then we make something out of it. You know what I mean? I can't. Which there you go. That's a great plug-in right there. So with that being said, I've always looked at my adversities as being, we talk about iron sharpens iron. When you have to go, even when you're working out, it's the strain you put on the muscle, and then as it rests and repairs, it becomes back bigger and stronger. So there's benefits to it, but one of my favorite words is balance. I think there's a balance, and so when we talk about mental health, it's basically just putting a name, putting something that's universally recognized. I think because when you don't have balance. So am I against making things hard? No, I'm actually an advocate of that. My kids, I'd be like, well, what you gonna do? Yeah, I got the resources and maybe the information to solve it, but I'm gonna make them go struggle for it and grind for it a little bit. I think it builds something. They have to have that in them. You know what I mean? We didn't see people who are spoiled and have it all. They don't have. I think mental health would be not even having the fortitude to accept a no or to take an L and to come back bigger, better, bigger, faster, and stronger, right? So I think,
not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I only insert because one of the things that I'm looking for in others that I meet is what you doing with self. I want to listen to that talk. So if I say, "Hey, who are you?" A person will say, "Oh, I work here." No, "Hey, who are you?" "Oh, I'm a dad," or I'm asking, "Who are you?" See, we skip over a lot of times exactly who we are because we're not paying attention to self and our standing and where we are when it comes to our worth, because that's what sets the foundation we have to be more aligned with how we position ourselves for others, because we're the lead, we're the lions of our own pack. And so if we're not expounding on that authority, I think it just has grave effects. And we're experiencing that just by way of how people perceive us. You know, we'll rather go and look at savage stuff or other people talking about how trash we are versus combating that because we don't want to deal with it, or it ain't got nothing to do with me. One of the words I can't stand is that ain't got nothing to do with me, or that's your independent thought, that ain't got nothing, or that's your opinion. We address things in areas to where we don't want nobody else telling us the truth. We'd rather just shun them away and say, no, that's what you think. And that creates ego. And so I think a lot of times we got to tear that barrier down and say, hey, sometimes I just want to exchange opportunity like we doing now to build, and then we can understand why mental is so important. I talked to my daughter yesterday about this because she was having a hard time. She canceled her therapist sessions because they were more subjective to what she needed. And that subjective notion started to diagnose her in an area to where it scared her. If I come to you to speak on things that I might experience from a soul level, you know, people have dreams of death, or you wake up sometimes and say, you know what, I don't want to live in this mother. You know, and we have other opportunities where we just want to give up. But if you speak to those who are in that profession, not to knock you, Newt, but when you speak to those in that profession, they are so locked in to diagnose you and push you to the next level of treatment without really understanding how this body is made up. What does this mind mean? How does that mind transfer to your thoughts? And how do those thoughts create your actions? And so that's what I had to at least conceptualize with my daughter. Look at it like that, because our mind is what creates. It's our thoughts that start to lock it in, but the thoughts start to drip down and create the actions that we want to feel better about ourselves. That's where ego comes from. And so you'll have people out here, oh, I'm this and I'm that or whatever, because they've already premeditated what they were going to do. And they only know that truth. Nobody else does. We're just shocked and surprised by what just happened or occurred. And we call them based on how we judge them. But understanding the back end to their mental health and saying, oh, I know where this comes from a whole level of experience, even how we perceive life and how, like, for example, we all sitting here and we chilling, we cool, as if we guarantee we gonna wake up tomorrow. We should be terrified. But where is that coming from? See my point?
Yeah, we're gonna take a moment. Y'all digest that and go to the comments. Shah Camille said, let's not minimalize mental health by saying that it's the white woman issue, and if not for them, yada yada. Mental health was spoken of in the Bible. Okay, I know that's gonna open up something. So it pre-existed. Black men have not been able to voice their mental health issues because it was deemed as a fault or default instead of being offered a safe space to express how they feel and how they need to be supported. We have community of young men that are struggling, and the older men have struggled and fear getting the help. What, did I miss something?
No, you got it.
Getting the help in T?
Yeah.
T or
Oh,
T?
and T.
And T. But so can I respond to that? I don't think I said issue. I believe I said it was a privilege, right? Like, it's not an issue of white women, it's a privilege. So and I'm not saying it's a privilege that I am saying that it's a privilege we're not afforded. And I can say that comfortably, where we're not afforded that professionally. We're generally not afforded that with our families, and we're not afforded it at home in most cases. If I don't, it's like the old cliche of, on Mother's Day, the restaurants are packed. On Father's Day, ain't no coal in the store because we barbecuing, right? Like, it's that balance of no one takes time out, and it's, I don't know if it's a matter of, I think as black men, unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword, because yes, somebody can tell you, hey, your mental health is important, but perspective is everything. And I don't think in most cases depending on what you got going on in your life and who is involved with you, is your mental health really that important? Right? Like,
But
for
think about
example,
it this way, Scotty. When you say, well, you got everything else going on in your life, that's mental health. You have focused on the area that you deem as important. So that's
you mean as far as whatever I'm focusing on,
exactly,
whatever.
because that's where your mental is going towards. So that's where your health in your mind, you think you're getting it. But everybody else who cares saying, we see a deterioration. What's going on? You need to work on that. But we so locked in, we don't see it.
I'm saying that there's not a time when I can pull out a mental health card and I'm not going to be a bad guy as a father. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I'm not afforded that. Am I missing something? Because I mean, if y'all are getting it in y'all homes, tell me and send me a manual.
Let me clarify, Scotty. Are you saying, man, I can't say, hey man, I need a mental health break day. I can't go do what I need to do. I can't protect anybody today. I just need to lay back. Or is that what you're kind of? Yeah,
I'm saying that for example, your mental health is not on the top 5 list more important than whatever she got going on.
I see what he's saying.
If y'all supposed to just go eat and you like, you know what, I'm burnt out, I need to just not go nowhere.
It's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Period. Right. But if the shoe was on the other foot, right?
We supposed to, pull ourselves up by bootstraps and go and soldier, because that's how we show love and concern.
Come on. If the shoe's on the other foot and let's say you scheduled everything and she goes, you know what? Kids this week, work, I'm just burnt out. Baby, I don't want to go out. I just want to sit here. You got to take that L. Ain't no other way around it. You got to take that L. Right?
Harold, I want to ask you, what your thoughts and feedback on what you've heard so far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think Carlos was going to say something.
Okay.
Were you going to say something, Carlos?
I was just saying I agree with what Scotty's saying. It's kind of like damn, and I have the words, just I can't get the shit out. It's more of, it's believable if white folks say it or white women say it, because that's just,
not that it's believable, it's right. Okay.
It's okay, but if
it's okay.
Right, but if if we say it, well, it's not that important. It's important, but it's not that important,
Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you need a mental health day.
Right. Yeah.
All of a sudden. Right? Like that would be, if that was the response, and I don't want to say that would be typical, but if that was the response, would you be shocked by it? No, you wouldn't be shocked by it. You go, you know what? You're right. We had it planned for 3 weeks. Let me not disappoint you. Let me put my stuff on. I'm going to take you. Right? Because that's what we do.
And, and I think that's a difficult element, because I'm just being transparent right here. It's hard for me to say, no, I'm not going to ante up and pull and do more and be stronger and swallow more. In my mind, I'm like, man, I'm built for it. Maybe just as we talked earlier, the trials and tribulations, the stresses, the training, I like to call it. I said, man, the things that I've been through in life have been like training for me. That's why right now, it ain't nothing nobody can do with me, mentally, physically, and damn sure spiritually. And I'll say that I'll stand on the top of any hill. But like I said, balance is key. Have I been to a point where I'm like, this is some snargle fargle? Yes.
And let me ask you this. Have you also decided to take a stand and then mid-stand gone, you know what? This stance ain't worth it.
He say take a stance.
Right? Like, have you ever been like, you know what? My mental health is important. Let me take this 30 minutes for my mental health. And 5 minutes in, you go, you know what? Let me go and get this over with.
Well, okay. See,
right? Because that's how we wired. At the end of the day.
That's my point.
Can I jump in?
Yes, absolutely.
So I think I agree with you guys. a lot of different ways.
Men are providers, right? Dante was
Yeah,
talking
we can't
about
really,
earlier.
we can't, if you can hear us, we can't really hear you, Harold.
Provide.
Yeah, we couldn't really hear you right then.
Yeah, there we go. So men are providers, right? So men, we do things to help other people. So that's often how we identify. And because of that, we often don't get breaks because we are the last line of defense, right? And so if bills ain't getting paid or shit ain't getting done or something need fixed, or if we ain't got it and I got to rub two stones together to make it happen, dad is the last person, husband is the last person to do that. So in a lot of ways, I agree with you in that mental health really isn't for us. It's kind of skipped over, glossed over because nobody wants to hear dad say, hey, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not going to go into work. I'm just going to hang around at the house today. But nobody wants to hear that. Hey, I'm not going to take nobody, to your band practice because you know what? I need about 2 or 3 hours to myself. So in a lot of ways, I agree. And I think that's because Black people and brown people as a whole come from trauma. And Scotty, you talked about that, right? And so because we are birthed from trauma, the country as a whole has never really cared what we felt or what we thought, right? The legal system definitely sure doesn't care what we think or what we feel because we have been offended in so many ways. And so in a lot of ways, what you guys are saying makes total sense. In that, yeah, we have been skipped over as men, especially brown and Black men, because we come from a place of trauma and survival. However, I do think it's important that we have to start having more of these conversations to put that on the agenda for our families, for the women that we care about and we love. We have to make it important, right? In the Bible, it talks about seeking wise counsel. I think we do we do have mental health conversations. We just don't label it that, right? But when my friend or my partner calls me and says, man, let's just chop it up for a minute. Let's go get a drink, right? Let's go sit down and let's just have a good talk, right? From the country, when we say we just have a good talk, then I think that is mental health, right? We're talking about the things that we have to problem solve through, we have to fix, we have to figure out. So I do think we do it. It's just in a different way. I think our conversations are more on the mental side of it and not the emotional side because truth be told, like we said, folks don't really care about a man's emotional state of mind or state of being, right? You got to be a good soldier. You're expected to perform no matter what the mental is or what the emotional part of it is. As a matter of fact, it's discouraged in the military to even address your mental and your emotional health, right? You could lose stripes. You could lose to be passed over promotion. If you're sought out or if you're seen going to the doc to talk about some stuff that you've been through. So I do agree with you in that yeah, it's not addressed enough. It's still important. So I agree with Shy. I think we can't minimize it, and at some point we got to stop allowing other people to minimize what we go through because our experience is important.
I think Rayfield nailed it when he said, because we come from so much that really anything you go through, somebody's gonna look at you and go, "Oh man, that ain't nothing. You tripping."
Yeah.
Right? Like, so if my mental health is my relationship, I could probably call one of my guy friends, but one of my guy friends might be like, "Oh man, you tripping. Come on, let's go to the booty club." Right? Because I'm not allowed to trip over my girl. You see what I'm saying? Or if it's my friends I'm having an issue with, right? I could go to my woman, but my woman is not going to really, she may not even understand my plight, whether it's, oh, I borrowed this dude some money and he don't want to get my money back. I can't even really talk to my woman about that because she's going to be like, well, you shouldn't have gave him no money, no way. You know what I'm saying? So everything that we do, because we come from so much, if you really complain about anything, you kind of tripping.
I don't know the perspective of how we like listening to you. You said, well, I can't do this or I'm allowed to do that. That's where I always am curious. Like, where does that come from? And
this is what I'm saying from us, right? Like I'm saying from our culture, the what I'm saying is when I say I'm not allowed.
I'm not knocking it from a cultural aspect, but that's why I speak to change the narrative. Like, who is saying that they're making me upset? Who am I to tell somebody else that they making me upset? You made me upset. If you really think about what we're saying to people, we gave them half of our power. So, and that's just in everything that we do, relationship, job situation, everything. So we have to learn our balance in how we want to exchange in this life. What's going to make me feel good when I leave this place or when I have this exchange? What can I leave?
That's true. That's true, Dante, but we don't raise boys to even ask them about me. We don't raise men to have self-awareness. I mean, how many times you been to a barbecue or you been to a family reunion when you seen mama, uncle, and them be like, well, little homie, how you feel about what just went down?
Listen
how
to
you feel
what
about what happened? We don't even do that as a family. We ask girls all the time. If a girl falls, baby, you okay? How you feel? Dusty, you need something, you want something, you got something? When our boys fall, when our boys get hurt, man, shake it off. You good? We don't even ask them how they feel. So our young boys go up from little dudes to high school to in the streets. Ain't nobody ask them how they feel because don't nobody care how they feel.
But again,
and I think that's what Cusp is addressing. He's saying,
why are we speaking on it? We're speaking reminiscent talk. Oh, well, you know how we was raised and what we keep regurgitating the same information and we are reinserting it back into our children. What's wrong? It's since we all here know exactly what to say, what to do at this age. What's wrong with breathing life in a different direction? I'm tired of having reminiscent talk about how we was.
But I mean, but and so I agree. I mean, I think we do it. I mean, we're all emotionally functioning at a way higher level than 99% of the people walking on the planet. But I'm just talking about the general population. If you go to the general barbershop, you go to family reunion, you go to the store, ain't nobody asking these boys how they feeling, what they going through. You ask these teenage cats, ain't nobody asking them.
I'm gonna use this opportunity to like Cusp. This is what I mean. You said it earlier. You said I say to you all the time, man, you need to share more of that, because I think that concept and that type of conversation needs to happen more. Like, change the narrative. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So if you keep treating your children or other people the same way, then what is your word? Regurgitating the same language, using the same type of speech patterns, then you're just gonna get the same energy back. So we need to go ahead.
I'm pro-black American, pro-diaspora culture, all of that. I know our history very well. However, I still have to find a narrow space to me to be able to function in this society with that information. And I only say that because a lot of times we get so caught up in just what it is and what it was, and not, you know what? I'm the disciple of this chapter of the Bible that I'm right now. I'm not reaching back anymore. So now it's me going to apply the wisdom necessary that was poured on me and pull it into other people. Like, we too knowledgeable, and we're building on like, we are the ones sitting in the places having these, when we gonna do this, and when we already doing it. Why not talk about it?
I mean, I can dig it. I can dig it.
And I just like to talk about it. Like, hey man, you doing that? Oh, that's good. So how you getting through that? Hey, another thing, like even how we exchange it right now, I always tell people, hey, take the time and think about how many times you pay attention to your breathing patterns.
You talking about why we've been doing this right now?
Yeah, why you've been doing it right now. None of us have been paying attention to it. But when we're in a high level of thinking, we realize our breathing patterns are very short. And sometimes we will stop breathing because we're so locked in and to create that mind to a thought. So if you take the time and say, you know what, let me become back aware of myself and breathe in and breathe out, you resettle yourself. And these are little small points in being sure that it helps your mental. Because mental health, all it is just your consciousness information.
Get that ebook together, brother. Get the ebook together. Get that ebook together. And let me apologize to our viewers. I know that there's been a few comments, so let me let's hit these comments real quick. Steph, and this was a little bit ago, Steph said, how can black men and black women begin to reconcile with each other? Is therapy the answer? Or black women too involved with therapy? Or do we all need it? And then we had a Facebook user, and I'll say Facebook user, when you got on, if you give StreamYard permission, it will show your name, because I definitely want to know who it is that's making the comments, or make sure you get the credit for your comment and we can address you appropriately. He was like, suck it up, which is definitely into tune with what we were kind of addressing. And then another Facebook user said, young, strong, intelligent men, black kings. I love this forum. Excellent. We appreciate you all being here and your comments. Thank you. So because I love the fact, because even in that conversation, we could not have that conversation without talking about the connection that Cusp had mentioned. We have kind of strayed away with interdependence, because if you think about it, the things that Scotty was bringing to the forefront, like some of that stuff is generated from a lack of interdependence and understanding the importance of how we interact with each other, how we carry each other, and how we impact each other in that space. So when we talk about mental health, I think just having a name, having the month, I really don't care about that. I think it's more about black men at the end of the day being able to come together, being able to have a safe place to express that. Because I'm just saying I'm favored, because I know I've been around men where I can express, like, say, man, I don't know what to do on this one. I don't know what's happening. And they, at the same breath, they'll be like, no, I get it, I understand. And then they'll come with solution. Here are some options. But what's never an option is that we're not finna just cry. We're not finna not move forward. We're gonna work on getting there. I acknowledge your pain. I'm telling you, it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be tired. But let's find a solution, because what's not an option is we can't just be like, well, I'm out of there. And to me, we talked about men, and I hope women hear this. When you don't, because you can't really speak on things you don't understand. Scotty said it perfect. He said, have you ever put your foot down, said, man, I'm not doing this, I'm finna take this break, and 5 minutes into your stamped and flagged 30 minutes, you like, man, let me go on and go take care of this for her. And then Harold comes right back around and like, man, we not wired that way. And the thing that made me think of that when his comments about, no one's interested in not hearing their star player start. Think about it. We men, when have your favorite team, you gonna have a star on the team. And if you look and you like, man, I'm weak. This is the NFC, AFC championship, and your star playing, you be like, man, I don't want to hear that. We didn't cut cats out, come about they toe hurt.
Hey, not being funny, but look at it like load management, right? Look how much we hate load management when it comes to players, right? Players be like, hey, I know I make $30 million a year. I need tonight off. And what do we do as fans? Not why you gotta take tonight off on my night? I bought tickets tonight. Why are you taking tonight off? Right?
And we're saying that's the same way it is for
that's how it is for men
as the star players. And as Harold,
we don't get load management. We can't possibly. We ain't afforded load management, because if we load manage, then the empire starts to take a dip.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The provider, the protector,
and not saying that a woman can't hold down the fort. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that I think in any home there is a reluctancy if a guy can't do it, because we say it all the time. Men are supposed to do certain things, and even as men, I feel like we are the first generation probably of fathers who care what their kids think. My mama didn't care what I thought. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like because
I'm the mama and you the child, so don't be asking
that's
no
it,
damn questions.
right? That's it. And as a father, I explained to my daughter, like, I need you to understand your opinion is a privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm giving it to you, but understand I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my angle. My mama was, you don't get no opinion. Mine is, your opinion come with the rules to you have an opinion.
Gotcha.
So you get what I'm saying? But I feel like we are the first generation that we care about what these kids think, right? The generation above us didn't. And because of that, you have that balance now of, now we're going, are these kids soft?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now we starting to ask, are the kids soft? Because of the fact that we are
lack of balance, man.
We asking them questions.
Kids that didn't get nothing, and then that group
now they get everything.
Give their kids everything. And so, to Cuss' point, to Harold's point, your point, I think balance. We gotta identify that. I think Cuss was mentioning that, man, we have to have another way of approaching it and thinking about it. Get that ebook together, Cuss. Come on now, you lollygag. But we got 5 minutes, like 4 minutes left. But this is what I want to do. This question was posed, and we might have to have a round 2, gentlemen. So
yeah, and that's the one I want to address, because I think we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
There's the general consensus that women need love and men need respect, right? In order for it to be a healthy relationship. And I think for Black women and Black men to reconcile, I think that we got to start with a place, at least for men's sake. I think that men, we need more understanding and acknowledgement. I couldn't tell you how many times I have sacrificed and given all. Like, literally, that I don't got nothing else left. And to Knox's point, it's like, okay, you don't feel good today? You don't feel like going? Okay, but you said you was gonna go 3 weeks ago. And I think that's the kind of stuff that kind of builds wedges between Black men and Black women. I think oftentimes when we're asked to communicate more, we're asked to be more expressive, but when we are, oftentimes those conversations are turned around, and then instead of being heard, I feel like you done stole my thunder. Like, I thought it was my turn to talk and share, and then now you making me feel bad for telling you that I needed help paying some of these bills. You're not gonna be able to be off work, 7 months. I'm gonna need you to jump in and take something to help us. And so for me, I always feel like if women can do a better job of acknowledging us and our efforts, we're not perfect, but how about you find a way to point out the stuff that we are doing instead of always highlighting the stuff that we aren't. And so I think acknowledgement is a great place to start. And then I feel like if women could do a better job of just providing more respect and understanding, because I think women try to tell us what we need and what we want instead of asking us what we need and what we want. And so I would prefer that women start asking us questions. Well, why do you need physical touch so much? Why do you need sex so much? Those questions aren't really asked in relationship. I mean, I've been doing counseling for 12 years. It's very rare that a woman ever asks, well, how come you need this? We never have that conversation about what men need. And I think if we can start acknowledging what men need, start acknowledging and appreciating and valuing what we bring to the table, I think that'll help to build Black relationships in a lot of ways.
Right.
Man, hey, let me cover. We're really at the end of our time. Gentlemen, are y'all open to having a round 2? So, because I definitely I would love to hear Cuss, Carlos's, and Scotty's response to that question. But we have to end the show. I want to make sure I hit my comments. Mac LaShawn, how you doing? Fellas, how y'all doing? Ladies, y'all all right? Perspective, I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Ben said, great convo. Say, need a part 2. Okay, there we go. We got a little confirmation. So we're wrapping up at the end of the time. Cuss, Carlos, Scotty, Knox City, Mr. Harold Rayfool. I appreciate you so much, man. Gentlemen, I'm going to contact you. Do not sign off. We're going to have a discussion, talk about trying to hit this again. We do have to go at this time. But, man, great discussion. Our viewers, the questions, the comments, we appreciate it. Man, we just getting into it. So we thank you, and we'll see you next week on Perspective. All right? All right.